Most people believe that intention by itself has the power to create reality, as if thinking, wishing, or affirming were enough for the universe to rearrange itself. But quantum physics and human experience tell a different story. Intention is only the initial spark, the first impulse in the vast field of possibilities. What truly turns energy into matter is collapse, the instant when thought, emotion, and body enter perfect coherence. Without collapse, desire remains suspended, a potential that never finds form. With collapse, an idea stops being a concept and becomes experience. It is the moment when the invisible condenses into fact, when what once lived in imagination begins to be lived in substance. Collapse is the precise point where being overrides wanting, and internal vibration becomes the new structure of reality. The mind can conceive endless possibilities, but the field only responds to what the body confirms. It is the physiological state, heart rhythm, breath, emotional tone that gives weight to thought. When mind, emotion, and body emit the same note, the field understands the command and collapses the corresponding scenario. That is the difference between thinking prosperity and vibrating prosperity, between wanting love and being love. The most common mistake is trying to create with the head while the body vibrates doubt, fear, or urgency. This incoherence keeps desire in a state of probability, never actuality. True manifestation is not conquest, it is recognition. It is not asking, it is remembering. You do not manifest what you want, you manifest what you have already embodied as truth in your system. So the secret is not in strengthening desire, but in sustaining the state. It is not about forcing collapse to happen, but allowing it to occur naturally when your inner field aligns. Intention opens the door, coherence walks through it. Collapse is the point where you stop dreaming the new reality and begin inhabiting it, quietly, with the calm certainty of someone who already is. Intention is the strike of the match, brief, bright, essential. It is the moment consciousness chooses a vector and tells the field, this way. But by itself, intention does not move reality. It only opens the map of probabilities. Creation begins with thought, but it is only completed when that thought finds body, emotion, and presence. Many people stop at intention. They set goals, write affirmations, visualize outcomes, yet everything remains suspended because the body is still vibrating at the old frequency. The mind says, I want, but the nervous system responds, it's not safe. The result? A divided field, an incoherent signal. And the universe, which operates through vibrational correspondence, simply mirrors back the noise it receives. Intention without the body is abstraction. It's like planting a seed without ever touching the soil. It lacks density, it lacks root. A seed may contain the potential of an entire forest, but it only germinates when it finds the right environment: soil, warmth, water, and time. Likewise, your desire needs the energetic grounding of coherence to cross the threshold of the unseen. When you set an intention, the field expands. But when you feel it as real, the field collapses. The difference lies in the vibration of now. What is still being sought exists only as possibility. What is already felt exists as fact. Intention opens the portal, but your internal state is what walks through it. That's why, before worrying about how or when, check the who. Who is wanting this? The self of scarcity, or the self that already knows? It is that consciousness, stable, calm, coherent, that turns intention into trajectory. Because creation does not happen in the future, it happens the instant you feel what already is. Everything that exists before being seen is suspended vibration, a cloud of possibilities awaiting a coherent observer. Collapse is the moment one of those possibilities becomes fact, when the invisible reorganizes around your dominant frequency. It is the point where maybe becomes is. In quantum mechanics, particles exist in superposition. They can be in multiple places at once until observed. Observation collapses the wave and defines a single outcome. In life, the principle is the same. While you merely wish, the field remains open, diffuse, uncertain. But when your mind, emotion, and body become one single signal, one sustained note, collapse occurs. This moment is not dramatic. There are no fireworks, no sensation of this is it. Collapse is silent, almost imperceptible, but absolute. It is the instant something in you lets go, and desire stops being a goal and becomes normality. The body relaxes, the mind softens, and the field understands. This is already real. From that point on, external reality has no choice. It must reflect the new state. Collapse is the miracle disguised as ordinary. It is the subtle internal shift that, from the outside, looks like coincidence, synchronicity, or luck. But in truth, it is physics obeying coherence. Matter is simply the visible echo of the vibration you sustain. That is why urgency is the enemy of collapse. When you try to force the field, you transmit doubt, and doubt is anti-coherence. The true creator does not push. They observe, feel, and allow. Collapse is not made of effort. It is made of silent certainty. It is the moment when the universe finally bows to the clarity of someone who has already decided to be. If the mind sends the command and the heart generates the field, it is the body that confirms reality. It is the measuring instrument between the invisible and the tangible, the thermometer of coherence. The universe does not read your words. It reads your nervous system. It is your physiological state that informs the field whether you're in safety, abundance, or lack. When the body is in contraction, shallow breath, tense shoulders, locked jaw, it is broadcasting a signal of threat. In that state, there is no creation, only survival. Biology interprets desire as danger, and the field, obediently, collapses realities compatible with the frequency of fear. This is why you can repeat 1,000 affirmations and still feel nothing changes. The body is still vibrating the old program. The body is living proof that beliefs are not just ideas, they are biochemistry. Bruce Lipton demonstrated that every cell responds to the chemical environment created by your emotions. When you feel love, gratitude, or trust, your biology opens. It communicates expansion. When you feel doubt, scarcity, or urgency, the body closes and the field shrinks with it. Your physiology is the interface between the quantum and the physical, the silent translator of your vibration. That is why collapse does not happen in the mind, but in the flesh. It happens when the body accepts as true what once existed only as thought. It is the moment when breath aligns, the heartbeat slows, and the chosen emotion, peace, safety, abundance, stops being an ideal and becomes a chemical fact. Coherence can be measured in hertz, but also in pulse. To observe the body is to observe the field. Every discomfort, tension, or lightness is vibrational data. Your body is always conversing with the universe, even when you're unaware. It is radar, channel, mirror, and when it aligns, when the whole body says yes, the universe responds in the same language. Incoherence is the crack between what you think and what you actually vibrate. It is the subtle gap between the mind's I believe and the body's I don't trust. It is the noise the field hears, even when your words say otherwise. It is invisible, but entirely measurable, the electromagnetic misalignment between heart, brain, and nervous system. You can affirm, I am enough 1,000 times, but if your chest tightens and your breath shortens while saying it, the field reads what your body feels, not what your mouth speaks. It is like trying to transmit a song through frayed wires. The sound comes out, but distorted. The universe does not judge. It only reflects the dominant signal, and that signal is always emotional. Incoherent emotions create disordered waves. Coherent emotions create harmonic patterns that the field amplifies. This is why so many manifestation practices seem not to work. The problem is not lack of focus, it's excess contradiction. You think prosperity, but vibrate worry. You ask for love, but carry fear of loss. You want freedom, but operate from vigilance. The field does not distinguish between what you want and what you sustain. It only recognizes coherence, or the absence of it. Incoherence is not sin nor failure. It is merely a temporary misalignment between intention and integration. It reveals where the old still dominates the body, where trauma still dictates the tone. The task is not to fight incoherence, but to listen to it. Every tension is a message of misalignment asking for reconnection. The truth is simple and powerful. The field does not respond to your desire, it responds to your state, which is why intensifying wanting accomplishes nothing, only harmonizing being does. When thought, emotion, and body strike the same note, incoherence dissolves, and the universe finally hears the signal clearly. Conscious collapse happens when desire stops being idea and becomes identity. When I want dissolves into I am. It is the moment when mind, body, and emotion unite as one vibration, and the universe recognizes the signal as truth. At that point, the field no longer needs to manifest anything. It simply reflects what has already been embodied. Embodying is not pretending nor forcing positivity. It is allowing the sensation of the new state to become familiar, until the body can no longer distinguish between memory and foresight. When you feel the new reality as normal, it becomes inevitable. That is the key. What the body considers normal is what the field stabilizes as real. Embodiment is the act of teaching your biology to speak the language of the future. Each calm breath, each congruent gesture, each coherent thought is a line of code written into your energetic field. Repetition is not to convince the mind, it is to reprogram the nervous system. When the body believes, the universe obeys. In that state, you do not imagine the new self, you inhabit it. The mind stops being the scriptwriter and becomes the witness of what the field is printing. It is the point where effort becomes evidence. The outer world begins to respond so precisely that miracle becomes nothing more than the logical consequence of coherence. Embodiment is therefore conscious collapse, the moment when you and your creation become indistinguishable. It is the instant in which the creator recognizes the creation within himself and understands there was never separation. Everything you desired already existed, waiting only for you to become compatible with it. Collapse is not a sudden miracle. It is the result of small daily alignments converging until the invisible can no longer hide. And although the word ritual may sound mystical, here it is pure vibrational engineering. Simple practices that tune the body and mind until both emit the same tone. It all begins with breath. Breath is the metronome of coherence, the moment when the nervous system remembers it is safe. When the air flows in steady rhythm and the heart slows down, the brain exits survival mode and enters a creative state. This is not just physiology, it is the portal between the physical and the quantum. A relaxed body is a clear antenna. Then comes embodied imagination, not visualizing as an outside observer, but as the one living it. Close your eyes and step into the scene of the already fulfilled. Feel the texture, the sound, the scent, the weight of your body in space. The brain cannot distinguish lived experience from imagined one when emotion and imagery are coherent. In that moment, the field begins to register the new pattern as real data. And then, silence. After feeling the new state, resist the urge to rush in and check if it worked. Remaining silent is the vibrational equivalent of pressing save in the field. Silence stabilizes the signal, like the pause between notes that turns sound into music. Collapse happens in that interval, when consciousness stops trying and simply sustains. Finally, movement. There is no collapse without a body in motion. Every micro decision made in coherence, a calmer response, a more present gesture, a more authentic choice, is the field translating into matter. The ritual is complete when frequency becomes behavior. These rituals don't demand effort, only consistency. They are the daily alchemy between the unseen and the tangible. Breathe, feel, silence, act. In this simple sequence, the field bends, not by force, but by correspondence. You don't make collapse happen, you allow it. Every new frequency begins unstable, like a freshly tuned string still vibrating before settling into perfect pitch. That's why repetition is not insistence, it is anchoring. Each time you return to the coherent state, the field reinforces that new pattern until it becomes the vibrational ground of your identity. Repetition is how you remind the universe who you've chosen to be. At first, the mind tries to negotiate. Do I really need to feel it again? Wasn't yesterday enough? But the body still carries the old echo. The fear, the doubt, the urgency. Repetition is not to convince the mind, it is to retrain the body. With each cycle of coherence, the nervous system learns that the new vibration is safe. The body relaxes, and relaxation is the sign that collapse is taking root. Bruce Lipton explains that the subconscious governs 95% of automatic responses, which means that insight alone is never enough. It must be repeated until it drops from the head into the biology. Coherent repetition turns belief into chemistry, and chemistry into behavior. The field reads that stability as the new normal, and begins to organize reality around it. This is where many give up. They mistake repetition for stagnation, when in truth it is the quantum solidification process. The invisible takes time to learn how to become visible. Every return to the aligned state is another line of code reinforced into the fabric of existence. You are not starting over, you are consolidating. When the new state becomes natural, when it no longer requires effort or memory, the collapse is complete. The body vibrates by reflex, the mind grows quiet, the field responds. Repetition ceases to be a practice and becomes presence. The future you wanted is now living through you. Silence is not the absence of sound, it is presence without interference. It is the point at which the field can finally hear you. Every attempt to prove, justify, or accelerate creates distortion. The universe does not respond to the volume of your intention, but to the clarity of your signal. And the clearest signal is always silent. The conditioned mind believes it must narrate every step to validate the process. It speaks out of fear of forgetting, fear that if it stops declaring, the invisible will stop listening. But silence is the opposite. It is the reminder that the field is already at work. It is the space where reality reprograms itself without needing your supervision. Joe Dispenza says that a coherent brain produces rhythmic, ordered electrical patterns, alpha and theta waves that synchronize heart and mind. This is the state of the silent creator. He emits little and receives much. The entire body becomes a tuning device for intuition to replace anxiety as the primary language. In silence, time loses relevance. The need for results dissolves and focus returns to the only point where collapse truly occurs, now. It is in this presence-filled emptiness that you become a clear channel. Coincidences align, rhythm returns, and the universe finally has room to respond. Remaining in silence is not waiting, it is operating. It is the point of maximum vibrational power, where no energy is wasted trying to make it happen. It is the stillness of the archer before release, the moment when tension becomes precision. When you stop filling the space, the field fills it for you. When coherence settles within you, it doesn't remain confined to your body. It propagates. The field responds like water touched by a single drop. Waves expand, reverberate, and adjust everything around. This is the cascade effect of coherence, a phenomenon in which your internal stability begins to silently reorganize the environment, the people, and the circumstances orbiting your vibration. Bruce Lipton explains that biology is contagious. Coherent emotions regulate hormones, modulate cardiac energy, and alter the way others perceive the space around them. A body in peace radiates order, and order is irresistible to chaos. When you enter a room in coherence, something shifts, the conversation slows, tensions soften, the atmosphere recalibrates. Nothing is said, yet everything is felt. Physics calls this entrainment. Two nearby vibratory systems tend to synchronize. A heart in harmony can quite literally retrain the heartbeat of those standing near. This is how personal transformation ceases to be an individual act and becomes a collective force. Coherence multiplies not through teaching, but through resonance. And the beauty is, this effect requires no effort. You don't need to convince, convert, or save anyone. Your mere presence, when whole, is sufficient technology. The field recognizes consistency, and consistency is magnetic. The world begins to bend around your balance, not in submission, but in attunement. With time, this cascade becomes a permanent wave. Situations that once demanded defense or strategy begin resolving through natural attraction. Coherence becomes the new gravitational standard of your life. What is misaligned drifts away, what vibrates in harmony draws near. No words, no struggle, no noise, only frequency sustained. Every true creation ends in surrender. Not the surrender that gives up, the one that trusts. It is the moment when the creator stops interfering and allows the field to complete the work. After sending the signal, aligning the emotion, and stabilizing the body, the time comes to release control, because the universe does not respond to force, but to permission. Surrender is when the ego releases the wheel and the essential self takes over. The linear mind wants to determine how and when, but the field operates through logics the mind can't comprehend. When you release the need to control, the field finally finds space to reorganize everything more precisely than you could ever orchestrate. Joe Dispenza describes this as the state of quantum surrender, the instant when energy becomes information and desire becomes a stable frequency. Bruce Lipton adds, when the nervous system exits defense mode and enters trust, the body shifts its chemistry, and biology begins sustaining the new pattern as normal. This is when the invisible starts solidifying around you. Surrender is also the gateway to grace. It is when doing dissolves into being. Synchronicities increase, decisions simplify, and life begins to move you instead of being moved by you. Flow replaces effort, and everything that once felt like hard-won achievement now manifests as a natural consequence of your state. And then, silence. The same silence that guarded the seed as it germinated, the same that precedes every revelation. Surrender is this moment of cosmic breath, where the universe exhales and you inhale the new world forming. Collapse is complete. You are no longer trying to create, you have become the field in motion. In the end, every manifestation reduces to the same movement, a return to coherence. The universe is not a machine responding to requests. It is a living field mirroring frequencies. Once you understand this, creation stops being effort and becomes remembrance. Everything you seek already exists as potential. What makes it visible is your vibrational state, and what sustains it is your emotional fidelity to that state. Bruce Lipton proved that beliefs and emotions alter the cellular environment, rewriting biology from consciousness. Joe Dispenza showed that the body, when coherent with heart and mind, becomes a magnetic transmitter capable of reorganizing reality. Science and spirit converge. You are not a passive observer, you are the field in human form. When intention becomes embodiment, the invisible begins to bend. When thought and body speak the same language, collapse occurs. When silence replaces effort, the universe finds room to act. Coherence, sustained through surrender, becomes the master key of conscious creation. Nothing you desire needs to be forced, only allowed. The life that seemed distant was merely vibrating at another layer of your own presence. And as you remember who you are, a stable emitter, a living field, a fragment of the whole, the world begins to recognize your signature and dance to your rhythm. Creation ends as it began, in silence. No fanfare, no rush, no resistance. Only the subtle sound of reality reorganizing around your coherence. Intention was the spark, embodiment the fire, silence the wind, and surrender at last. The space where all is completed. For collapse is not the end. It is the moment when the universe confirms what you have always been, the creator, remembering itself.